Hola y bienvenidos a Laura Reads Her Way Out. Mi nombre es Laura Matias and welcome back to the podcast. So exciting. This is the first episode of 2025. Yes. Or well, you'll be watching it in 2025. Right now I'm still in 2024, but like in a few hours it will be 2025. It's so exciting. If you watched my last episode, you know last week I didn't upload an episode because it was Christmas. I was spending it with my family and I wanted to talk a little bit about my Christmas. Like every year, I went to Santiago. My mom is from Santiago. My whole family is from Santiago, so we spent Christmas there. We spent it at my aunt's house. We ate dinner. We hung out with the family. We ate a lot, like a lot. It was a lot of food. And my sister made desserts. She made deditos de novia. She also made a lemon pie. Delicious. We were like legit fighting over it. We were like, no íbamos a ir a lo golpe for that. Lemon pie was delicious. And yeah, we just hung out. It was a pretty chill Christmas. It was a pretty chill dinner and celebration. It was really great to spend time with family. I went to visit a friend from college. She lived nearby, so I just popped over to her house real quick. We talked, we hang out. It was really lovely. Shout out to Jailin. Love you, Jailin, in case he's watching or listening. And yeah, after that, I got home and went to sleep. I was really late. I went to sleep, I think, at like 2:30. And then I woke up at 11, which is funny. I had my alarm at 9. And I was like, oh, okay, 5 more minutes. I closed my eyes. I opened them. It's 11. And I was like, oh, man. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Yeah, after that, we just hung out at my aunt's house. We ate recalentado. We love recalentado. Who doesn't? Yeah, again, we hung out, really chill, talking, and we came back to Jarabacoa at 3 in the afternoon, and then I just chilled the rest of the day. I read, I watched YouTube. It was a pretty chill Christmas. It wasn't like nothing crazy happened, which is nice. It's nice to have a chill Christmas once in a while. Yeah, if you want to share in the comments how was your Christmas, what do you do with your families, do you have any traditions? I would love to hear about it. Now, entrando en materia. This is our December reading wrap up. First things first, we're going to talk about the books I read in December, which are only two of them. Okay, so the first book that I finished was El Dios que nunca conocí, or The God That I Never Knew, de Robert Morris. This book, I borrowed it from a friend, Esther. Shout out to Esther in case she's watching. And I had it for so many months. And I didn't finish it for a long time. But I was like, okay, I need to finish this book before the end of the year. I want to give it back to her. And I don't want to like go into 2025 with this book that prestado, right? So I read it. A great book. It's about the Holy Spirit, how to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit, who's the Holy Spirit, how he appears in the Bible, about the gifts of the Spirit. It's a great book. It's really short. It has some reflection questions. It's really great. So if you ever want to learn more about the Holy Spirit, that's the book for you. The God That I Never Knew by Robert Morris. I gave it 4 stars. It is really great. I hope one day to have my own copy so that I can like annotate it and read it more closely. So now, the second book that I read this month, and this one's a big one, literally, is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. Finally, if you follow me on Instagram, then you know, I've been reading this book for a while. So for those of you who don't know, and maybe this is your first episode, in October, I joined this read along, the Litula Long Books read along. Litula is a book content creator. And on Discord, she started this like long books read along, so you can read the long books that are on your TBR. And the read along is from October, November, December. It ended in December 31st. And I was so ambitious, as I always am, and an overachiever, as I always am. And I was like, oh, yes, I got these 3 big books. It was this one, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami, and The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. Those were my 3 books. And I was like, oh, I'm going to read one each month, and I'm going to tackle those big books. And it wasn't like I was only going to read those books. I was also going to read other books on top of those. So that was the plan. And yeah, as we can clearly tell, things did not go as planned at all. I actually spent 3 months of the read along reading this one book. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying it or anything. It's just that something weird is happening to my reading. Like, I am not 17 anymore. My life is very different. And keeping the reading habit is like more difficult than I expected, which is okay. I mean, I'm in a different season of life. That was bound to happen. And also, I'm kind of grateful that I do because then I can help people, build their reading habits from a more like genuine experience than me just being theoretical about it. I'm trying to be positive about it. But the point is that, yeah, it took me 3 months to read this book. And at first, I felt terrible because I was like, am I losing my reading powers? How is it possible that this 850-page book, I cannot finish it in a month? What's wrong with me? But there's nothing wrong with me. It's just that I'm in a different season. I have different priorities and life, and my reading life is changing, and I still haven't like quite found like a system that now works for me. Like the things that I did at 17 are clearly not gonna work anymore now at the tender age of 23. Okay, so now back on topic. What's the book about? Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. It's about this alternative history in England where there used to be magic and magicians and fairies, or fae, as some call them, used to coexist and do magic in harmony along with nature and stuff. And then it kind of stopped. And now magic is like this thing that people study like theoretically, but nobody actually does magic. At the time the book is taking place is during the Napoleonic Wars. And then this magician, Mr. Norrell, from the title, appears. He has this mission to bring back English magic and use it to defeat Napoleon. The book spins from there. Then appears Mr. Jonathan Strange, who's like the apprentice of Mr. Norrell, but then they have a falling out. That's where the book goes. And this, as you can see, this book is pretty big and it has like footnotes. It's very like academic. This book is like from the perspective of someone who's like, oh, a recorded history, has footnotes that reference fictional textbooks about fairies and magic. And it has footnotes of like, oh, this person who was like a chancellor from this year to this year, and they did this, this, and this. It's like, it's kind of like you're reading a history book, and it's very interesting. And I cannot believe that this is a debut novel. This is Susanna Clark's debut. Can you imagine debuting with this? It's insane. It's crazy, and it's amazing. So yeah, I give this book 4 stars. It is a really great book. It is so elaborate. There are so many characters. The story is pretty engaging. There were some, I bumped down a star because I felt like there were some things that I was hoping would happen and then they didn't. Like I mentioned, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell have a falling out, and I was hoping that their falling out would be a little bit more dramatic. And it's not like dramatic things didn't happen, but I was hoping for more dramatics. And also, like, the main antagonist, like, motives felt a little bit like weird to me. Like I didn't fully understand them. Like it was a fairy, the main antagonist, and I understood that they it's in their nature to be very mischievous and doing things for their own purposes. But I don't know, there were some things that were a little bit unclear to me. But it was still a great book. It spanned all this history, and you meet all these characters, and this world feels so real, and it feels like everybody has like a backstory and very complex ideals. That, not gonna lie to you, since I took me so long to read this book, there were times where I forgot what some people were like. Oh, they will introduce this character, and this is what they did in the story. But sometimes by the time then I would put the book down, and by the time I pick it up again, I read them and I was like, oh, who are you again? I should have taken notes because yeah, there's a lot happens in this book, but it is a very good book. Maybe in the future I will reread it, maybe when I'm like in a more chill headspace, but it was a really good book. Susanna Clark is great. I also read her book Piranesi. These are the 2 books that I read from her. I don't think she has more. I believe not. I think she has like a 3rd one that is like a kind of quote unquote sequel or from this book, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And maybe I'll read it. But as of now, love Susanna Clark. She's great. Can't wait to see what she does next. I think she's still alive. Is she still alive? I think so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So yeah, those are the books I read in December. Not that many, but you know what? That's okay. We don't need to read 1,000 books to be readers, right? Right, guys? The books I bought, and I'm saying bought with a grain of salt because technically I didn't bought that many books this month, unlike my previous 2 months where my TBR, well, my book haul was very considerable, was very big. But this time I didn't buy that many books. Okay, so first things first, my sister Isabel, shout out to Isa, love you Isa, my baby sister, love her to pieces. She gifted me books. She brought me an absolutely remarkable thing by Hank Green and also a beautifully foolish endeavor by Hank Green. And I am so happy. Usualmente no me regalan libros. People usually don't give me books. So it makes me very happy that my baby sister got me books. This was generally a surprise because she texted me being like, oh, do you have these books by Hank Green? And I was like, no, I don't have them. And she was like, oh, bummer. I was thinking of reading them. And I was like, oh, sorry, I don't have them. I have John Green books though, but I don't have any Hank Green books. And that was because she was looking if I had them to buy them to me. She's so sweet. And they are about this girl whose name is April. And she finds in her hometown this obelisk, and then she does a video about it and she posted it online, and she becomes like internet famous because these obelisks have been like popping up all over the world. Nobody knows what they are, and she was like the first person to ever record them, so she becomes famous. And it talks about like internet fame and all the baggage that comes with it. And you know this is like accurate because it's Hank Green. If somebody is like qualified to talk about this, it's Hank Green. And yeah, these covers are so beautiful, and I'm so happy my baby sister got me books. I am so happy. So yeah, she's so sweet. Okay, the next one. This also was technically not a buy. This was a swap. You get yourself some book friends so that you can swap books from time to time. So I have this friend, Emmanuel. Shout out también pa Emmanuel. Great guy, a great friend. He had this book, Babel by R.F. Kuan. And, he apparently didn't want it anymore. He wanted to, and I told him that I was interested in reading it. So we did a book swap. He got Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and he gave me his copy of Babel by R.F. Kuan. And I am so happy because I wanted this book for so long, and I got it without having to pay any money. And I got to get rid of a book that I was planning to unhaul anyway. And it's not, for the record, it's not because I don't like Wuthering Heights. I love Wuthering Heights, but the copy that I have, it's okay, but I want like a prettier copy. Quiero una de Alma Clásicos. The Alma Clásicos editions, those are so pretty, and I want one of those. But I don't enjoy having like multiple editions of the same book. Like, I'm not that kind of person. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna get rid of my old one so I can get a new one. And I did, and now it's in a better home with someone who will enjoy it and appreciate it. So as you can see, I did not buy any books. I actually was gifted them. Now let's go to the books that I actually did buy with my money. So I think this is the only book this month that I actually bought with my money, and it is a big one too. It is Comentario al Nuevo Testamento de William Barclay, or Commentary to the New Testament. It's basically that, a commentary of the New Testament, and it is very big. It goes through every book, and it talks about every chapter and commentary. And this thing is like, it has such small letters, and I'm really getting my money's worth on information. I really am. I want to study more the Bible. This year, I used to just read the Bible like de pasada for many years, just read it and not really dwell on it. But this year I started to like take specific books and study them. And I've downloaded apps and I watch videos, and I am very excited to keep like furthering my resources library to study the Bible and learn more. And this one was recommended it to me, and I bought it at my church. Yeah, it took a while for me to be able to afford it. Every week I was coming with abonando. For a few weeks, I was like saving money and putting down money until I finally paid it all off. And now I have the book, and it's very exciting. So yeah, if you are also like someone who studies the Bible and you have resources, recommend me some Bible study resources. I want to expand my library. I'm very excited. So yeah, Comentario al Nuevo Testamento, Commentary to the New Testament by William Barclay. Okay, the next one. This was a gift from my pastors because I work in a church. I work in content creation for my church, and I've been working there for a year, and they gifted me this Bible as like appreciation for the work that I've been doing as a Christmas present, and I am so happy. So yeah, this is Biblia de Estudio de la Profecía, de comentario de Tim LaHaye. This is the Bible of Prophecy. I believe that's how I translate it. And the commentary is by Tim LaHaye, and this version is La Reina Valera de El 60. I think in English it would be like the King James version. And I am so happy. It is for the people watching the video, I can appreciate that it's in letter and it has like gold edges and it's very pretty and it has all this commentary about prophecy and it has a lot of diagrams. I am very excited to read this. One of my New Year's resolutions for 2025, it was to study more about prophecy. And now the Lord has answered my prayer. Apparently the Lord agrees because through my pastors, he has gifted me this beautiful Bible and I am so excited. I want to buy more Biblias de Estudio because I want to, as I mentioned, I want to keep expanding my Bible studying resources. So yeah, Biblia de Estudio de la Profecía by Tim LaHaye. Really nice, really great. Can't wait to read it. Okay, now another thing. These are not books, but I still want to share them because I am really excited about them. The first one is my 2025 agenda. I am an agendas girly. I love using agendas. And I bought recently the 2025 one right here. It's very nice. The ones that, they're all from the same brand. I do not know what the name of the brand is. I am so sorry. If I do find it, I'll put it in the show notes. Let's see. Oh, it's from Pura Vida Books. The agenda of 2025, the Pura Vida Books. And it's really nice. They sell them at my church and I always buy them from there and it's really cool. Although I low-key feel that this is kind of like a male's one. This is like a dude's one because it has a lot of like motorcycles and it has a lot of, it's brown and it has a lot of blue and orange, which, that's very male coded. I mean, obviously, as a woman, I don't care. I still like it very much. It is very pretty, but it's a big departure from the very pink flowers and yellow one that I had for 2024. Like this thing, in comparison, this one really looks like a dude's. But you know what? I don't mind. It is very pretty and very classy. And I am very excited to use it. I love using agendas. I am a productivity nerd. I watch a lot of Ali Abdal. So I'm very excited to use it. My new agenda for 2025. And this one also has me very excited. This is a bucket list notebook. Yeah, bucket list, 101 things I want to do with my one wild and precious life. Yeah, this is one of those like guided journals. It is numbered with the 101 bucket list things, and it asks you like, why is this item that you're choosing on the list? Did you do it or not? When, where, how was it? They go, how was, who I was with when I did it, how I felt. And yeah, it has a notes section. It has like, where is it? There's a summary section where it asks you like, oh, did you complete your bucket list? How long did it took you? What lessons have you learned from it? What was the strangest situation you got into? Like, when I saw this, I was like, I need it so badly. It's very beautiful. It has this, it's like hardcover, black with gold letters. I really love this aesthetic, very dark academia aesthetic of it. And I bought it because I do have a bucket list, but the problem is that it's very disorganized. I have it like on Notion and it has like bits here and bits there and bits here and bits there. So I want to like have it all in one place, a nice place. And also it will be nice to record like, oh, how my life, how it is, how's the experience as I accomplish the things in the bucket list. Have it all in one place. And then also like have some journal prompts so I can reflect on the experience. So yeah, bucket list, 101 things I want to do with my one wild and precious life. Okay, that is all. That is the whole portion of this episode. Now, my currently reading. What am I currently reading? Which, to be honest, not gonna lie to you, after I finished Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, I was kind of like, oh, I kind of want to take a break from reading. Like, I told myself, like, I am not entering 2025 with this book. I've been at it for 3 months. I am done. I want to finish it. And so that 2025 is like a clean slate, a blank page for new books. So, and after I finished it, I took like 5 days of no reading, just chilling. But the book that I'm currently reading right now is El Hombre Celestial, La Notable Historia Verídica de un Cristiano Chino, El Hermano Jun. It was written by Paul Hathaway. This book is about this Chinese missionary and how it was, and he was persecuted for his faith in China many years ago. And this book is about his story that was written by his friend Paul Hathaway. And this book, it's a tough read. It is very tough. There's a lot of descriptions of torture scenes. It is very gruesome to read, but it is also very important. Like, this man really clung to the Lord with all his nails and his teeth, and he did not let go. And I think that was like the key to his survival. I am still like not even halfway through. I'm on chapter 11. And this is I'm using this kind of like as a devotional, like for my Devos time. I read a chapter. I've also had this for a long time, but then I paused it because I stopped doing Devos for some time. I was more focused on my Bible studying, but now I'm going back to my Devos thing, and I'm reading one chapter a day, taking it very chill. It's a great book if you happen to read it, although it is a little bit gruesome with the torture scene. So be warned about that if that's something that you don't want to read. But it is a great testament of faith. Okay, now, last section, our January TBR, the first TBR of 2025. So exciting. Okay, first things first. And this is hilarious because as I'm recording this, I had to pause it to go pick up this book because my friend came over to give it to me. She was going to give it to me yesterday, but she forgot. Un aplauso para Natalia. Thank you, Nata, for lending me your book. It's called En Pos de lo Supremo, de Oswald Chambers. It's a devotional. It's a 1-year devotional by Oswald Chambers. I was interested in reading this for a while. And Natalia, my friend Natalia, she was so lovely to lend me her copy. I'm very excited. It is a 1-year devotional. And yeah, one a day about faith and growing. Is a very classical, one of those very classical staple devotionals in the Christian faith. So very excited to read it. Okay, the next book that I want to read. After the whole Jonathan Stranger and Mr. Norrell, I told myself, I want something chill. I need something relaxing, something short. And for me, that's Agatha Christie. She's like kind of like my comfort read. I'm like, I need something chill. And for me, that's Agatha Christie. I am reading The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, or El Asesinato de Roger Ackroyd, Agatha Christie. This book is one of the most well-known of Agatha Christie. She is a very prolific author. She has like a 1,000 books. Okay, maybe not literally 1,000, but she has a ton of books. And this is one of the most like beloved ones. I see a lot of people on YouTube being like, oh, I'm going to try to guess the mystery or solve the mystery in Roger Ackroyd. And it's a Hercule Poirot mystery, which is kind of like Agatha Christie's Sherlock, if you will, like trying to draw that comparison. And yeah, I don't know really I don't know what the specifics of the mystery is, besides that we're trying to find out who murdered Roger Ackroyd. But you know what? I'm very excited. And yeah, I'll see if I can solve the mystery. I don't think I can. I am not great at solving mysteries. You see those people that are like, oh, I saw the plot twist from a mile away. I am not one of those people. I never see the plot twist from a mile away. I'm always surprised. I actually will be a horrible detective because I will be like, if I were in a cartoon, I will be like the cops who are onto the main character, even though the main character didn't do it. But I am like very set on like, no, it's this person. Like, I will be very way off if I were like an actual like detective solving mysteries person, because I suspect everybody. When I'm reading a book, I suspect everybody. I sometimes even think that the victim was in on it. I don't know. I am not great at like guessing plot twist and stuff. So, but I'll give it my best shot with this one. Maybe I will get it. There has been a very, very few minuscule times that I have managed to guess it and to solve the mystery. So maybe this will be one of them, and I'll be very happy if I do. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Nice. It will be my first read of 2025. Yes. Okay, the next ones are fairly recent buys, and they are very telling of the season, right? And the books are Design Your Life, Your Way, Your Career, Your Way by Erifili Gonari, and Welcome to Adulting by Jonathan Pokluda. So, as we know, January, new year, new me. I'm going to tackle the world. And this year, for my resolutions, a trend that I see in my resolutions is that I want to, become more independent, grow more in my career, and figure out this whole adulting thing. How can I learn how to be a proper adult who's like responsible and knows how to do things themselves and become more independent. I really like these two authors, as I mentioned in my previous wrap up when I bought these books. Jonathan Pacluda, an amazing preacher, a great pastor. He has a podcast called Becoming Something Podcast where he gives advice for 20 somethings and 30 somethings. So if you're in your 20s or 30s, you should totally check out that podcast. I'll link it in the show notes. He's really great and I'm very excited. This will be my first book of his that I'm reading and I can't wait to read it and read his other books. Very excited. And also Erifili Gonari. She has a Substack. She has a book podcast called Espresso Epilogues that she does with her friend Aspa. And I love that podcast. It's one of my favorite bookish podcasts currently, and I can't wait to read her book. And as I mentioned before, one of my bucket list items for this podcast specifically is that I want to bring Aspa and Erifili as guests on the podcast. So if they're watching or if somebody knows them, tell them that I can't wait to have them on the podcast once I figure out the technicalities of how to bring guests to this thing. But once I do, dang, it's going to be great. I am so excited to bring them. So yeah, welcome to Adulting, Jonathan Pacluda, Design Your Life by Erifili Gonari. By the way, I'm sorry to Erifili if I am mispronouncing your name. I am very sorry. You're great. I think you're awesome. But I'm sorry that I'm mispronouncing your last name. Okay, and my last book that I'm planning to read this month is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Yeah, I'm telling you, Alma Clásicos, they have the best editions. Look at this beauty for the people for the video. And if you're not watching the video, you can go on my Instagram so you can see the cover. It is beautiful. Beautiful. I had this book for a while, and I don't know, I feel like it's the time. I'm like, yes, something about reading Dostoevsky or Russian literature in general in January feels right. It feels like, yes, this is the moment to read this book. It is about this guy who I think he gets framed for the crime. I'm not sure if he actually committed or not, or he gets framed. But it goes about like the justice system in Russia and about repentance. Yeah, very vague description, but you know what? It's fine because I really like Dostoevsky. Can't wait to read this. This is a classic. A lot of people really enjoy it, so I'm very excited to tackle this. And that's it for this episode. Those are all the books I'm reading. My first TBR of January 2025. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, you should subscribe, comment, like it, share it with a friend. You can rate it on Spotify. Tell me in the comments, how was your Christmas? How was your December 2024 reads? What are your plans for 2025? I would love to read it. My social media will be in the description, my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter. So you can check out all the bookish content that I make on other platforms. Happy New Year. I am thrilled for what God is going to do in my life and in your life this 2025, not only reading wise, but also like with any passion projects that you have, with your work, with your family, with our health, with your school, if you're in school. This is going to be a great year. I am thrilled. I am nervous, but I'm thrilled. And yeah, I hope that you're thrilled too. And if you're nervous, that's okay. I'm nervous too. But let's be thrilled through the nervousness. Thank you for listening. I'll see you all next week. Cuídense, pórtense bien, cómense todos los vegetales y nos vemos hasta la próxima.